Video 5 in this series using AutoCAD 2024 to draw a house. In this video we will add in some standard doors and turn some of them into dynamic blocks. Firstly, we'll create a new layer once more, and this time we'll call it GA for my initials, GA doors. The color we'll choose is yellow, index color 2. Click OK, and then the sizing for this, or the line weight for this, is 0.13, and make the layer current. So we'll choose this door opening here just as the basis of what we want to do, and we'll draw the door frame on either side. So let's just not put it too close to the door, let's offset it slightly. And for the door frame on each side, we'll make that 100 by 50. Then an easy way to replicate that is to mirror it, and we'll use mid between 2 points. At this stage then we'll draw a circle that gives us the curve of the door swing, and then we'll draw a temporary line here from the midpoint of the door frame out beyond the circle, and we'll offset that by 40 millimeters, the thickness of the door. And then we'll draw a rectangle. It is important to start it on the second line there and finish it at the intersection point there. Again, remember, some of these snap points aren't showing. Right click and you can choose intersection here. The reason why it's important to choose that line as the second point is the door is a little bit thicker than it would be just at that point. I know it's only a matter of millimeters, but let's draw things as accurately as we can. We'll use the trim tool then at this point to trim out the parts of the swing that we don't need. I guess drawing it in the plan itself has interfered slightly, but it's good to be able to have it close to the door opening so we can see that it's accurate. Now the overall size, I should have said, is 910 millimeters there. So this is a door that's 910 millimeters wide in terms of the opening. And we're going to turn this into a block. So select all the items and B for block. There's a break line already that we have drawn, but we're going to call this 910 door. And for the base point, we'll specify that on screen. Pick point, sorry. We'll pick that side of the door frame and click OK. So now we have a block, but what we can do is we can go into block editor and we can add some smart tools to this to make it a dynamic block. So this brings up a palette here for the block authoring palette. We'll choose the flip parameter and we'll specify the base point of the reflection line for the flip. So for this one we will choose align this direction, and we'll call this one, that's just not coming up the way I wanted it to. Go to parameters or properties, sorry, and we'll choose in out for the name of this parameter. Then we go to the actions tab on the palette and we'll choose flip, select parameter, so we'll select the in out parameter, select the objects, the door plus the swing, and hit enter. And we'll go ahead and add the other one. So back to parameters tab, choose flip, and for the reflection line this time we need to go the other direction. So mid between 2 points, we'll just choose those two corners and make sure the flip line is the other axis. And for this one we will call this left right, just to show the way the door is handed or the way it opens, to the left or to the right. So again, if we had escape there, we can go to the actions tab on the palette, click on the flip action, select the second parameter that we've just created, select these two objects and hit enter. That should have saved that. And if you've done it correctly, if I've done it correctly, once we close the block editor, that will ask us, do we want to save? And then we can click on the block now, and by clicking on the little arrows, we can make that flip in or left or right, in or out, left and right. Now it is a good idea just to rotate that by 90 degrees and then just double check that it is still working okay. It is definitely a good idea to have that flip arrow on the opposite side from the base point for inputting it. So what we can do now is we can put that in place where it needs to be on the endpoint there. And then we can copy this multiple times around the drawing just for the different rooms. So let's rotate that one and flip it to get it into the right position. Now you can see why it's important to have a gap in behind the door. I've just not moved that quite accurately there somehow. Problematic, this one. Get there eventually. And again, we can rotate that. So this is downstairs toilet, which in theory could be required to be an accessible toilet. So I'm going to leave the door swinging out the way in this case. And the door for the lounge needs to rotate that direction. So the principle is the same for this door opening here. It is a 1022.5 millimeter wide open door. I guess I can just draw the door itself. Don't need to do the dynamic block aspect. Once you've got one, you should be able to get the other. So if we choose move between 2 points, and then use the same principles as before, line tool, and a circle. Let's trim the pieces off that we don't need again. Offset that line by 40. I have done things in a slightly different order this time, but that doesn't overly matter. There's more than one way of doing things successfully in AutoCAD. I think I've drawn the angle or the rectangle the other way around. So we could again turn that into a block, which I will do. So the create block tool is also there. And we'll call this 1022.5 door. Base point, pick a point there on that inside. I'm not going to turn that one into a dynamic block. We'll just leave that for now. There is a door up here, and let's check the size of this. So this is an 800 door. This will not meet with the other doors in terms of the sizing, so I'll draw it separately, 100, minus 50 this time, and we'll just copy that down this time. Better choose the correct corner. We'll draw a line out, and draw a circle, offset by 40 for the door thickness. Insert a rectangle for the door, and then we can trim. Now, possibly in this case, it's easier to trim two sides and then delete that because there's too many pieces. In this case, I'm going to create this as a block and call it 800 door. So that's the principles of drawing those three doors. To save time, I've manually added in the other doors. but just note that down here with the external doors, you need to make sure that you put those in the right place. So I'm going to offset by 100 here and put that door frame down at that point, and then delete that temporary line. So it is 100 millimeters here, but it is 150 millimeters on the outside edge. And let's just check the other one if it's the same. No, it looks like it's in the middle. So that's offset by 100. See, it does make a little bit of a difference there. This becomes more important when we look at working drawings and just how the door frame will butt up against that outside leaf, but we don't need the cavity for these planning style drawings. So that's all the doors added in at this point.